Hey guys, Lady Locks here. So I've got with me the beautiful Abus 83AL45. As you guys may or may not know, I'm trying to collect all the different colors with all the different keyways, and this is my latest one. I can't remember offhand what the keyway is, but I will look it up and try to leave it on the video when I go ahead and edit it. But it does come with a key blank, and it's not, it's 0-bitted. So you have to basically either take it to a locksmith and get them to repin it, or being Locksporters, we do this kind of stuff ourselves because, hey, it's a lot of fun, right? So I'm going to show you what all you're going to need to do this project and pretty much how to go ahead and go about doing it. And at the end, hopefully we'll have a working key with our lock totally repinned. All right, let's see what we're going to need. So what you're going to need for this project is just your normal things that you need for gutting, obviously, because you're going to have to gut your padlock. So you need your screwdriver to get the screw out of the padlock, a shim just in case. You need your plug follower and a core holder. That's going to be very important in this project, is a core holder. So make sure that you have one. If not, I'm sure you can still do it somehow, but it might be a little bit more difficult because you do need something that's going to be able to hold the core. Some type of file. You need some type of file. I'm going to use my impressioning file for this job. You need a set of tweezers to pick up the pins, a Sharpie to mark your key where you're going to need to mark it. You need something to remove the clamp on the lock. And of course you need key pins for this. So these are the key pins that I chose. You can choose whatever bitting you'd like. You're going to file your own key, so it won't matter. You need your key blank, which hopefully your lock has come with a key blank. If not, you can get them at the hardware store. Usually for any type of, lock that you would order, you can probably find one at the hardware store. Or even if you have to go to a locksmith to get the key blank, that's what you have to do. This extra driver and spring actually came with this lock because it is, ready for 6th driver and spring. So it does come with it. So that already was with the lock. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? First thing I need to do is gut this lock. So I'm going to go ahead and just get this. The key should work to open it since it is 0-bitted, and the key is 0-bitted at this time. And a screwdriver to get this screw out of here. Alright, and you can just set your lock body aside for now. We don't need that at all. And we definitely just need to get this core out of here. And as you guys know, there is a little pin on this that you're going to have to press in order to push this through. So first of all, let's get the clamp off. I'm going to actually close it to take the clamp off because it can be quite annoying otherwise. Hopefully this doesn't go shooting across the room, and hopefully I can get it off fairly easily without any problems here. All right, there we go. That might be a Lady Locks first. Okay, I'm going to drop the stuff off the back here. Just going to set anything extra in this tray here. And once again, just going to put the key in and turn. You do need to push this little pin in order to get this to start going forward. So what I do is I push it in a bit and start this forward just ever so slightly. You don't want to push it any further than it has to go because you can drop all your pins and mess it all up. And then you just need to make sure that that little spot there is not on the driver, because there's a little spot in the back right here. You need to make sure that that's just angled slightly so it doesn't get right underneath the driver. So make sure that you have that angled in the correct angle. If it is right under the drivers, they will shoot right down in there when you're trying to push your follower through. So just very carefully. And just push the plug through. All right, so this is already pinned up. Obviously, the 6th pin is not in here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and put the 6th driver and spring inside of this. It does have the cover already on it. I think I put that on there. It usually comes with it off, but I did end up getting it put on there because I was going to work on this, and then I ended up not. So I did get that far. But I'm just going to go ahead and pop the spring in there and the 6th driver. Whoops. All right, so this part is completely done now. I can set this aside until I'm ready to put this lock back together. I'm not going to need this either, so that's going to get set aside. All right, and now we're going to get rid of the existing key pins because these are all 0-bitted. We don't want those. I actually might choose one that's, well, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and just leave this key blank in, and I'm going to put in all my key pins where they would go, because I want to have a look at how high they're going to stick up, how much filing I'm going to need to do, that type of thing. So I'm just going to put them all in the spots here. Take a look at what we've got. It's going to be a lot of work. I can tell you that, especially when there's 6, there's going to be a lot of lots and lots of filing to do. So what it's looking like is right now, all right, actually I'm going to put it in the in the core holder before I go ahead and do anything crazy and drop anything. All right, there you go. So now that it's in the core holder, you can turn it to see that it's definitely not, this is how you're going to tell if you can get this to open inside your lock. When you file it down and you're able to turn it in your core holder, that's when you know it'll turn, when it's in your lock. So this is what we're going to use to gauge that. And all I'm going to keep doing is just pulling the key out, filing the spots where these pins are, and then putting the key back in and testing it and seeing if, any of these have reached the shear line, have went down to the shear line so that I'll know. So that's about it, guys. But as far as it goes, you need to mark your key to where all of these holes are. So what I usually do for that is I know that the shoulder of this, this key is going to bump up against the lock. Here, let me get it back in here so we can take a look at it. And so I know that the shoulder is going to hit the front of this, right? So when I'm actually marking my key, I need to place the shoulder that's hitting up to the front of the lock, and then I need to mark my key on the spots where the where the pins are going to go, where I'm going to actually need to file this key. Now this is where it gets hard because it's very hard to get this kind of skewed a bit, and you got to keep going back and checking, guys. You got to keep over and over checking and file a little bit and then go check, because you can lose your spot front to back like this way, so the first mark might be here, but you can start filing and all of a sudden you check it and it's kind of off a little bit to the to the left or to the right. And if you go too far and do too much, you can't recover. So you really need to just check, and it's very annoying and it's very time consuming. But if you don't do it that way, then when you do go to, file it, you're filing it for no reason, because it's just not going to work. So I'm just going to eyeball this here and kind of mark the middle of each pin chamber as much as I can see it. As you start filing, you're going to go back and have to check it a bunch of times. So you can make adjustments as you go. If you notice that one of your filings is a little to the left or to the right or not really on, spot on, you can really go ahead and make the adjustments that you need early on before things get a little bit too much. So what I like to do is I'm just going to double check that first one. It looks like it is kind of right in the middle where my mark is. Where the second mark is going to be the middle. So I'm just going to try to make a small little mark on the front top of my key to mark that position. Okay, so now that I've got my marks marked off, I need to really pay attention to which pins I'm going to do. So I think I'm just going to go one at a time, starting with the first pin. And, you know, once I get that one down to, once I get that one down to the shear line, I will go ahead and, you know, work on the next one. So each time I'm going to make a few files, and then I'm going to come back and take a look at this. Take a look at this and see where that first pin is at. And once I've got it down far enough, I'll move on to the next pin. All right. So we're just going to start on this first one and get some pretty good files in there. Kind of going pretty good down the file here. Let's see if we're moving it at all. Okay, seems like we might be. And each time you go ahead and put it in and out of the lock, just make sure you're not slamming it in and out of there, because you can definitely push these pins and make them go flying. So and yeah, it's going down quite a bit, as you can see. Probably a few more files and we will be there. We're pretty close. You definitely don't want to overfile it, especially if you don't have enough key pins to, you know, switch them out every time you mess it up. So definitely just take your time and check after every few files to make sure that you're not, you know, going overboard. And it's pretty much close. A few more is going to do it, I think. All right. I'm going to start in on the second one as well, because that one's pretty deep. And I want to make sure that I have my line right in the middle and that I'm, you know, on the right track as far as bringing it down some. And I also want to take a look again and make sure my spacing looks good. So it's looking good for 1 and looking good for 2 as well. Maybe bring it over a small amount to this side here for 2. All right. Let's check the progress on these 2. Okay, so that first one is almost completely to the shear line. The second one's dropped down quite a bit. So keep going. File it a couple times on this third one as well, because that number 3 is already pretty close to the shear line. It's not going to need that many files to get it to go down. So a little bit more on the second one here. It's got quite a ways to go yet. All right, we're almost there to where we can turn it. We're getting a little pinched with looking like 5. 6 looks good. All right, I'd say number 2. Number 1, 2, 5. Number 2 and 5. Say 2 and 5 again. Okay. We are pretty much there, guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little couple touches up that I've got to do. And then we're going to go ahead and pop this in and test it. All right. Okay, guys. So I've got the final, all right. And here is the final key, the bitting. And let's go ahead and get this put back together and make sure everything works okay. And yeah, test it out. So we're going to take the front of the lock and we're going to put this Bible right on in there. And remember, I had to push this little button down to get this to go in. So that's what we're going to have to do now. And just make sure that that little button is depressed so I can slide this through. All right. And it is. It's a little tight, but it is working. Got a working key. So I'm just going to go ahead and put my clamp on the back. And that's as easy as that, guys. I mean, you know, if you're trying to, instead of taking this to a locksmith, you can do all this yourself. And it's actually pretty fun. It's a nice little skill to know how to do, filing a key. And yeah, I suggest you guys give it a try. If you can get a key, or if you can get a lock that has a, you know, a blank key and do it yourself, that's perfect. And I'm going to test this out in the lock body just to be on the safe side. Make sure that this is going to lock this and unlock this. And how you do that is you place it in the back, you know, back in the lock, which it is sticking out a bit from the back. Wonder what that's about. Not a lot, but it's enough to make me question why it's sticking out. It's not right. Boy, guys, it's always a problem. Let's see what happens when I close it. Yeah, I mean, it still opens the lock. Here you go. And it is working, so that's great. So it just sticks a bit, but I'll get that figured out. And there you have it. That's how you make yourself a key. So here's the lock. Here's the key. And we are done. Very exciting. Always exciting to me to get another lock working. Since I really hurt so many so many innocent locks in the process of me learning to you know, pick. I've hurt several locks in the process, so it always makes me feel happy when I can get one to actually work that wasn't working before. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep my pins that are for, you know, the 0-bitted pins. I'll put them in a little spot there. You never know when you might need something that, you know, I just usually never throw away little parts and pieces of locks. I keep all the little extra doodads. And, you know, like I said, I never know when I'm going to actually need something else. So always keep the extras. But there you have it. I've got a working lock. I'm very excited. I'm going to go ahead and try to pick this one next. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this helps you figure out how to file your own key. Like I said, it's worth a try. Key blanks they're not the cheapest thing ever, but they aren't that expensive. So if you do have a chance to, you know, pin up your own lock and file your own key, I think you should give it a try. It really does help build experience. As you can see, I still have issues with something inside the lock, even though, you know, I've done 5 of these now, but it's always something. So that always brings something new for you to learn. You know what I mean? But that's exactly how you do it. And yeah, if you mess it up, you just got to start over again and try it out again until you get it. You know, it's just a process. All right, guys, thank you for watching. I hope this helps you guys. And if you like this video, please click the like button. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Take care, guys.